Alright, when we last left our band of intrepid adventurers, they had faced off against several different kinds of mutations that had been caused by the meteor's fall. Whether goblin-turned-horror or simple fence posts gaining sentience and malice, the party has faced the threats down and now search for survivors from the group of miners that laid claim to the site. Unfortunately, their good intentions are repaid with violence as the entrails of one of the miners' bodies burst forth and several centipedes flood out, forcing the group into combat once again. Welcome to the best available.
Okay. Well, in the name of the great salad, let us begin. The first tendril whips through the ground like a snake, picking up quite a bit of dirt before it lunges out of the underbrush, and the creature's fangs bury into your leg. The venom pumps into Natalia's body, and thankfully, she is able to resist the pull of death. You take the 3 piercing, but you do not take the poison damage. The second centipede coils up and launches itself forward directly at Angela's face, snapping as it tries to take a bite out of crime. Thankfully, Angela's shield is much larger than her face, and she is easily able to interpose them. Natalia was not amused by having this creature bite into her, and she brings her sword down and in one critical blow crushes its body completely beneath her longsword. The next one will coil up and catapult its way toward you.
They don't take much, do they?
No, but if they hit, they can give a lot.
Just in case, I'll still attack that one. Definitely dead, is it?
Oh yeah, you slice it twice and end up with 3 pieces.
As long as the pieces quit moving.
The last of the tendrils
the shield ready.
Will launch itself swiftly in Natalia's direction, wriggling along the edge of the pit and then snapping at her. A critical hit.
Oh no.
Roll that saving throw, Natalia.
Son of a bitch! I'm doing a constitution.
Hey, so I forgot to mention it in episode 0, but I have made some, shall we say, light modifications to the inspiration mechanic. It was a bit of a work in progress that's changed over time, but in these early episodes, every character gains inspiration at the beginning of the session and can, at any time, use their inspiration to re-roll a check that they are making if they don't like the result. I thought inspiration was a little lackluster, and since I like epic feel, I let my players use it after they've seen their rolls and heard the result, as well as even sharing it with another player should something terrible befall them to enhance the group dynamic a little bit, though I later removed that as it became a little problematic. Additionally, instead of using a pure re-roll, since Roll20 can be set to roll with advantage on at all times, I let my players take the second roll if it's better, or completely re-roll their check with advantage regardless of whether the original check was normal or even had disadvantage. All of these effects take consuming your inspiration, and this helps to make things pretty epic and give players the feeling of having that trump card for their most desperate moment. It comes in clutch several times, so look forward to seeing that. Luckily, Natalia can still use her inspiration. Would you like to do that?
Yes.
You will take 5 points of piercing damage. Your body luckily managing to resist thanks to your perfect constitution. The goddess Timora smiles upon you, for now. Speaking of how characters horribly die, the next one attacks Angie. Thankfully, Angie is able to beat back his attack with her longsword. Ara.
Guess I'll do Sacred Flame at that same one.
As the light descends from the sky, the creature deftly dives out of the way, wriggling along the ground and continuing its attack.
So told the dead.
Alright, the necrotic energy rips through the creature's body and sucks the life out of it, turning it into a blackened husk. And Angela, you swing down and it curls around your sword and starts to inch its way up it, snapping at you. Thankfully, you whip your body to the side and it ends up laying on the ground next to you again.
I'm gonna swing at that one, which will hit.
Once it lands on the ground, Natalia shows that she has, quote, fucking had it with these things. Instead of dealing a blow with the blade of her weapon, she punches the creature into the ground with the pommel and crushes it wholesale. Her gauntlet is covered in a fine paste, which evaporates into ash.
I've had it with all these motherfucking snakes at this motherfucking campsite.
What?
They have definitely been dead for a while. As you inspect the bodies, you find that they look significantly less like humans and more like human-shaped satchels that were containing creatures. The one was obviously full when you got here. The other one is empty. They have hopefully left the area.
Do we dare search the tent?
Yeah, I will, as I'm already almost dead.
I had a bad feeling about this.
Natalia, as you head into the tent, you find there is a lot more gear here than you would have expected. This tent could comfortably sleep 2 men side by side, but there's no sleeping bags. Angela and Ara. As your allies search the campsite, you hear a soft whispering in the distance. It's difficult to pick out any specific voice or tone, but there is definitely a babbling. It's coming from the pit. The rope, the yellow, thick, woven hemp that leads down inside, is swaying slightly.
Something's climbing up here. Something's climbing here. Get ready.
Can I cut the rope?
You might want to call to somebody who has a sharp weapon or a knife to cut it.
Angie is really tempted to do that, but still uncertain if the voices are human or not.
Would you like to step up to the edge of the pit and try and get a better listen?
What if there was someone alive still down there? We didn't see no light, did we?
I am going to cut that fucking rope.
Natalia's just not interested, huh? Natalia steps over and swings and hacks into the rope. And the way in which it twangs when you strike it definitely says that it's load-bearing. Bethaniel, with the longest sight of all of you, can't see the bottom of the pit or the end of the rope, but he can see just at the edge of his perception. There is a figure moving along the side of the pit where the rope is.
Cut the rope! Cut the rope!
Natalia hacks again at the rope, and with a twang, it flops off into the pit.
Do we hear an impact?
No.
I'm gonna throw my lit torch down the pit.
It doesn't illuminate the figure for long, but it illuminates it for long enough.
Oh,
The
God.
torch
What is it?
flies down along the path where the rope was and hits something, bouncing off of the black and green surface just long enough to illuminate the glossy eyes and stretching mouths of a strange creature, but also familiar. It is a mass, to be sure, but the faces that float around in it are most certainly human.
Okay, we gotta go.
Oh, God.
The torch flicks past it, and then it vanishes into the darkness once again. But you are relatively sure that you saw it sliding up the side of the pit, with the rope slipping through its body. When the torch hits the bottom of the pit, it illuminates something else.
No.
You can see the meteor. It is oval-shaped and is cracked open, but there is another creature at the bottom. It stands on 3 legs and has 3 arms spaced around its body. The top of it, where its eyes are, rises like a pyramid to a point. And currently, the creature is grasping at several metallic structures that are extending from this egg shape and pouring them into its mouth, crunching down on them and annihilating the ore and stone that is at the bottom of the pit.
Yikes.
Unfortunately, after a moment, it mindlessly scoops up the torch as well and consumes it, and the light gutters out. All that you hear now is the sound of 8 men's soft voices whispering, whimpering, crying, and calling as something slides its way up the side of the pit.
What we just saw is utterly disgusting. We cannot allow those individuals, as much as I hate to say it, to suffer longer than they do.
Agreed.
Right. I feel this might be a bit out of our scope of experience. So I think the most prudent of actions would be to use the messenger bag and update our interested party in the current circumstances.
It shouldn't take long to scribble a few words that the situation here is dire.
As you have been talking, Bethaniel, you can see out of your peripheral vision that the creature is now at the edge of your sight, which lets you know that it is roughly 60 feet from the edge of the pit, and it is slowly ascending.
What I think we should do is we should get anybody with a ranged weapon and begin to rain hell on this thing. Bolts,
It's
fire,
also 60
flame.
feet, so I got Toll of the Dead.
Yeah, Toll of the Dead, everything. Just start raining hell.
Yep.
Alright, so you guys are going to start attacking?
Yeah, so I'll grab a hold of the email bag.
You grab one of the packs and pull it open, scattering the buttons that were keeping it closed. Finally, you find a journal.
If there's a blank page in there, I immediately get to it.
Well, you will get to it next round. Bethaniel, you can see the creature at the edge of your dark vision.
My Toll of the Dead is the only thing I have that can have that range.
Alright. He has a +0 to his wisdom save, so it's just the dice. He barely makes it. The sound of the bell echoes down the hole, and the creature's liquidy body wriggles in response, but it does not seem injured.
I want to ease another torch down, hopefully illuminating it long enough for Ara to be able to cast a spell.
The torch falls and hits the creature, illuminating it long enough for Ara to fire off a spell. The sacred pillar will illuminate the creature for a moment, and there is a chorus of male voices wailing in pain as the radiant energy tears through their body. The creature continues to slide up the side of the wall and moves another 20 feet, its body flowing upwards like a unending tide of flesh.
Okay, so I get to writing then.
Yep. How much can you write in 6 seconds?
Hell.
In 6 seconds. Situation dire, creatures mutating, bodies rising, help.
Okay. And then you stuff it in the bag?
I stuff it in the bag.
Alright. Poof. It vanishes. When you move up to the side, you can see it is at the very edge of the torch's light. The creature is flowing upwards.
Toll of the Dead.
The necrotic energy washes over it, and you see one of the faces shriek as it is pulled off of the creature's body, and it disintegrates, leaving only 7 moaning mouths.
I guess we'll just do Sacred Flame again.
It's hard to draw a bead on the creature as it slithers along the side of the wall, and when the pillar of light comes down, it flattens and curves around it, dodging out of the way. And the creature continues its inexorable slide up the outer wall.
Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. Well, I still have that journal I found. Maybe a quick glance to see if there's anything of use in there.
There are only 3 days worth of listings. The first one speaks of them having found the meteorite before anyone else and set up a small fence. The second day tells of them heading down and mining and cracking the thing open to find some kind of strange liquid inside. The third day is filled with strange babbles and odd sounds. And at the bottom, in common, it says, "I've listened to it all day, and this is what it says. This creature speaks wisdom. I must go to it."
This does not bode well. I'm starting to wonder if it would be just wise to grab the journal as evidence and just run.
If I step back a little bit, I still have the range for Toll of the Dead, right?
You would not be able to see it if you step back from the edge of the pit, because it's 20 feet down.
Okay.
But you can cast a spell and then back up from the edge of the pit.
That excellent idea. So I'm gonna do that. Toll of the Dead.
Once again, the creature fails to resist your magic. A chorus of voices shriek as the eyes of several of the faces pop and blister and then evaporate. The creature slithers another 10 feet upwards, its body contorting and turning to almost a spheroid shape before a larger mouth extends from it and disgorges a large glob of chemical. It flies upwards to the edge of the pit, cascading past Angie, and then detonating in a blazing flare of light.
Oh god.
Ara, you're able to bring your hand up just enough time to cover your eyes. Unfortunately, Angie staggers back from the edge of the pit, blinded completely and unable to see anything as the creature closes in on her.
Might as well stagger back a little bit further.
For a second, you're not sure what it was that you stepped in, and then you remember the two bodies that were next to the pit. Your foot descends into one of the sacks that were once men, and you slide along the ground for a moment, but thankfully you're able to catch your feet, and you don't pitch down face first into the muck.
Ew!
Natalia, you are close enough that the incoherent babbling and moaning and whimpering and crying has started to seep into your mind. You can hear an otherworldly alien hiss. Natalia grasps at her ears and howls, shrieking.
Driven mad by the voices, she slams her crossbow into Angela.
Roll a melee attack roll. With advantage, because Angela's blinded. Angela, you feel Natalia nudging you with the crossbow or grasping a hold of you, but then she smacks it hard against your back. The armor absorbs the blow, but she's screeching something shrill at you about stopping the voices. The creature finally slithers its way over the edge of the pit. Angela, you are able to see again, just long enough for the creature to hunker, gorge, and eject another bile burst in your direction. A blazing blast of light engulfs Natalia and Angela side by side. Natalia's trying to bludgeon you with her crossbow, the creature's closing in on you, and you're blinded again. Nathaniel, go ahead and make your wisdom saving throw. It is legitimately your best save, and that is an awful roll. You can spend your once per session inspiration to re-roll it completely if you would like.
Oh yeah, I want to do that.
All right,
better.
You didn't roll that much better. At least not enough better. But I mean, sometimes it sucks. The whispers of hundreds of your ancestors creep into your mind, all of them speaking madness and nonsense. Bethaniel stands there, staggered, and does nothing. Natalia seems suddenly blinded by abject terror and staggers around the campsite, slipping through the fire pit and then stumbling into the tent. Ara, the sacred flames descend upon it, and the creature bathes in them, seemingly unharmed. The creature slides over the intestine creature at its feet, and the sack that was once a man and the intestinal monster that you slayed are absorbed into its body. A new face screeches.
Oh, come on! Did it just heal itself?
Roll Arcane. It's difficult to tell, but it didn't seem to gain any mass. It just absorbed the features of the corpse that it slid over. So it might have healed, but it doesn't look like it instantly grew healthier, although its body is difficult to discern at the best of times. You're not even sure if it's truly wounded yet.
Oh my god.
Oh, did you make your wisdom save?
No!
Roll me a d2, John Boy, because there are two creatures within range. With maddening wild bloodlust, Angie grasps her longsword in both hands and rushes directly at the creature, plunging into it. With a hefty chop, one of the creature's outstretched tendrils that bears the face of a weeping man is hacked clean, hisses and boils on the ground as it turns into nothing.
Ding dong, toll the dead.
The bell tolls for thee. The surface of the creature boils in a few places, and you see smoke rise from it as the necrotic damage takes hold. Natalia, you cleave through another set of eyes and bury your sword into a mouth, pulling it back out as the creature snaps shut, trying to grab your weapon. Ara, it apparently was not expecting a crossbow bolt from behind. The bolt slams into the back of it, and the creature's body ripples. As it ripples and jerks from the blow of the crossbow, its body flutters backwards, and a gout of something ejects from it and blows up directly on Ara, flashing both of you. Bethaniel and Ara, dexterity saving throws. Bethaniel is able to shield his eyes just in time. Ara, unfortunately, is just a little bit too late and is blinded by the light. The creature then lunges forward at Angie, 7 mouths bearing horrific teeth.
With several wailing roars, the gibbering beast's many mouths crash down on Angela. And though its weight pushes down on her like a tide of flesh, and she can hear the cracking of her shield as chunks are torn from it, she forces the creature's bulk back. Again, the whispering voices muddle her thoughts, but shaking her head free, Angela whips her blade forward, carving into the beast with a cry and severing a chunk of it. One of its twisted faces drops free, dissolving along with the grass next to her metal boot. Bethaniel, having retreated past the point where he can hear the maddening voices clearly, calls out to his friends to see if they need help. As they still hold the line, he prays once more, and the fleshy surface ripples and cracks as necrotic energy calls the many fallen miners to the beyond. Gritting her teeth, a wounded Natalia feels her mind giving over to the madness but fights through it. Digging deep, the young woman grasps her long sword with both hands and raises it up high, driving it down through one of the many yawning maws and plunging it deep. The feeling of the blade biting flesh is interrupted by a crunching sound as she strikes something crystalline or metallic inside, shattering the damaged fragment of the meteorite with a final blow. With its core broken, a chorus of voices, both monstrous and humanoid, cry out. Some wail in rage while others sob in relief, but their aria is all too short as the lurching pile of gristle and meat loses cohesion, slowly bubbling out onto the forest floor and dripping over the edge. The monstrosity is finally slain, and the group stands bloodied but unbowed over the pit, having avenged those who sought profit and were instead given horror. As the quiet settles over the pit, though, there is one thread that has not been pulled. What was the motion they had seen beyond the creature that rose from that cursed crater? And that is where we will leave off for this episode. Thank you all so much for coming to watch and revel in these adventures. It's been a pleasure bringing this to you, and our growing team is so excited to see what you think. So please, leave a like below, leave a comment so Algorithm Sama will be merciful, and subscribe if you haven't already so you'll get notifications for all our episodes and teasers. You can also follow the links in the description to find more works from our team members, whether it's Doodle Poodle's amazing webcomic or MC Cheshire's awesome everything channel. I know that you'll have fun. If you go to visit them, just don't forget to tell them that the Forever DM sent you. We are even now cranking away at the next episode and working to make each video more gorgeous to watch and thrilling to listen to, so stay tuned for that. The easiest way to do that is to come support us directly on Patreon or Buy Me a Coffee, but you could also wait for YouTube to notify you if that's not your jam. We love you either way, while appreciating any support you can give. And here's a list of all of our awesome supporters. In the Power tier, we have Crean, Scorpius187, Doodle Poodle, Jay Jones, and William Smith. In the Planar tier, we have PPNTT807, CJ, Someone, All Is Fiction, Darth Cavalier, Joshua Williams, and Silent Angel. In the Adventurer tier, we have Bastion Falconwrath, John R300, Shadowmancer, Alex, Justin, @Breezebender, Mystics, Katie, Andrew Akiyama, and Rosilla Streaming Network. In the Quest Giver tier, we have V, Slathar Silcom, and Robert Mischief. And in the Townsfolk tier, we have Night Archer, Scott Stedman, and Shugenja. And as always, your creative team, Doodle Poodle, Nala Fontaine, Shadow Wolf, Scorpius187, MC Cheshire, and the Forever DM, me. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.